The primary reason for this was that in Merrill Lynch elevated its president, um, a Stanley O'Neill, to be the new CEO. O'Neill had joined Merrill as a trader on the junk bond desk when he was 35, bond bringly intolerant of dissent and quick to take offense at perceived slinks. O'Neill had never worked as a stockbroker and had no particular affection for the business that had long been Merrill's heart and soul. His burning ambition was to change Merrill. He wanted to transform its mother Merrill culture, which he viewed as bloated and soft, not adequate to the times. He once taught at a college, and he wanted to put new emphasis on trading, especially fixed income trading, where the facts profits lay. Under O'Neill, Mary got into the business of lending money to private equity firms. It boasted its proprietary trading desk. It greatly expanded its commodities trading business, and it bulked up its mortgage desk. Most of all, O'Neill pushed Merrill to take more risk and bigger risk. Goldman Sachs liked risk. After all, isn't that how one made Goldman Sachs life's profits? Stan O'Neill was the king of men who could Beasley even at comments that were meant as praise, so it is no surprise that he never found the level African American CEO to his liking. Yet it was one of the great African American success stories in modern business. O'Neill was born in the teeny town of Widowee in eastern Alabama and hour due north of Auburn. It was, says a friend, a thought town where it was dangerous for black people to look directly at white people. Well, into one of the prominent citizen publicity crusade against interracial marriage. O'Neill's grandfather was a slave. His father was a poor farmer who moved his family to Atlanta when Stan was 12. They lived in a housing project until his father established himself as an assembly line worker at nearby General Motors plant. After her high school, O'Neill was accepted into work-study program by the General Motors Institute, now as Kettering University. EM then hired him as a shift foreman upon his graduation and gave him a merit scholarship when he was accepted at Harvard Business School. Once O'Neill had his MBA, General Motors put him in its treasury department and gave him a series of promotions. Although he was clearly a comer and GM, O'Neill took a job at Merrill because he felt that it offered him more opportunity. He had been put in charge of the junk bond desk, where he quickly impressed the top brass with both his effectiveness and his ruthlessness, something he would continue to do as they made his way up the ladder as the head of the brokerage division. When the internet published reports he lighted up thousands of brokers without asking his desk boss, CEO David Komensky, for permission. As chief financial officer in the late, he sent Komensky an analysis of the company that was far thorougher and more clear-eyed than the Merrill culture was accustomed to, criticizing the firm's low profit margins and concluding that the root causes of her competitive margins are both structural and cultural. Far from being later put of my Arnold Komansky was impressed. The one thing about Stan Komansky later told the New Yorker was that he gets things done. By all, O'Neill had been named president of Merrill Lynch. Komansky had planned to stay on as CEO for a few more years until he turned 65, but two events forced him out earlier. The first was 9/11. Several Merrill employees died in the attack, and the firm's headquarters were badly damaged. During and after the attacks, O'Neill took charge while Komansky seemed paralyzed. O'Neill filed a vacuum recalls on former executives, concluding that Wall Street was unlikely to recover quickly after. O'Neill instituted big layoffs. Komensky cautioned him against such a move, fearing a public backlash so soon after the terrorist attack, but O'Neill had to no patronage for such thinking. Secondly, thought O'Neill simply wasn't willing to wait a few more years to become CEO. He was ready now. Before being named president, he had rivals for the top job. He outmaneuvered them, and then as president pushed them aside. Once he became president, he cultivated gay allies in the firms who had ties to board members. They began agitating for O'Neill to take over, arguing that the firm's golden way to make the change O'Neill had made. Komalski had turned over the reins to O'Neill, thought he had hoped to stay on as board chairman. Komalski's son acceded to O'Neill's demand that he give up that role as well. Thanks to Halto jogging around O'Neill's succession, the Merrill Lynch executive suite had become a very political place. His appointment as CEO didn't end the palace intrigue. Strategically thought the next round of intrigue came not from his many enemies in the firm, but from two of the closest allies. One was Azar Zakaria, the head of the firm, but from two of the closest allies. One was Asanga, the head of global markets and investment banking. The other, Tom Patrick, who had been Merlin's chief financial officer under Komensky, was effectively O'Neill number two. Thought he lacked the little of president, O'Neill had told the board he didn't feel any need to fill the position.